Hey everyone, it's Kelly. I am back with a new layout for the cut shop. I am going to start today's process video with a short Cricut design space tutorial. I am using the Ho 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 cut file, and as you can see, this cut file is more of an 8.5 by 11 shape than a true 12 by 12 shape. But I'm wanting to use it on a 12 by 12 layout. So I am stretching it out so it will fit into that dimension. And the way that I'm doing that is I clicked on the padlock on the lower left-hand side of the cut file image. That's going to unlock the dimensions and allow me to stretch it. You have to be careful with these 8.5 by 11 cut files when you're trying to stretch them onto a 12 by 12 design, because it will make them unproportional. So you need to make sure that when you are expanding not only the length but also the width, so that way everything looks proportional. Now, another thing that I want to keep in mind as I'm sizing this cut file is that I want to back my photos behind two of the O's on the cut file. So I've inserted a circle to use as a guide. My photos are printed at 3.5 by 3.5. So I'm just using that circle to size the O's on the cut file, so I know that my photos will fit nicely behind the cut file when I'm ready to start my layout. Now, I could just count the lines on the grid behind the cut file to know whether or not my photo would fit the way that I want it to, but I just find this much easier to insert a shape and use it as a representation of my photo, so I know that everything will fit together nicely when I am putting together my scrapbook layout. So what I was showing you when I was pointing to the dimensions of the cut file is that it's too large. The largest image that Cricut Design Space will cut is 11.5 by 11.5, but I don't want to make the cut file image too much smaller or my photos won't fit behind the O's on the Ho Ho Ho. So what I'm going to do is I've inserted a shape and I'm just going to slice those stars off the bottom portion of the cut file, and this will allow me to still have the dimensions that I need to fit the photos behind the cut file image. So once those stars are sliced, I'm going to go back over to the Edit tab and I'm going to check the dimensions of the cut file to make sure that it is sized appropriately. I'm going to see that it is still too wide, so I'm going to go ahead and type in the measurement of 11.5. Now that will shrink the cut file image down slightly, but I'm just going to take the circle back over to the cut file to make sure that it is still sized large enough that I can fit my photos behind the O's. Now my photos are printed as a square, so I will have a little bit of wiggle room as to where I place the photos behind the O's, since I will be trimming them down to a circle. So I don't have to worry about those circles being sized at exactly 3.5. Okay, so moving on to the layout, I just used my scissors to trim the stars out of the top and the bottom O in the Ho 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 cut file. Now I'm using my pencil to make pencil marks onto my background paper. I want to do some mixed media and I want to know where the cut file is going to sit on the layout, so I know where I want to apply the mixed media. I am using the No Yokings colorings from Shimmers and then my brayer just to apply a yellow wash to that background. All of the pattern papers that I use for this layout are from an older Recollections paper pad. It is called Festivus. I really struggle with the traditional holiday colors, the red and the green. Those are not two of my favorite colors to use when scrapbooking. So scrapbooking Christmas photos sometimes are a little bit challenging for me. So I tried to bring in this yellow color, which is something that I'm a little bit more familiar with scrapbooking with, just to see if maybe that would help neutralize it for me and make it a little bit easier to get the design the way that I wanted. So now I'm just coming in with an eraser to erase those pencil marks. Because this is such a light wash of mixed media on the background, it didn't cover up the pencil marks. So I want to make sure that I erase those just in case the cut file doesn't happen to get adhered down exactly where I had it when I made the marks to place the mixed media. So these are the photos that I'm going to be using for my layout. They were taken last year around Christmas time, obviously. Our town hosted this fun little day where Santa came to town and there was breakfast with him at the fire station. And then across the street on the library lawn, there was a reindeer. And then we could also go into the library and they had free books for the kids. So this was just a fun Christmas themed day, and this was actually going to be the first time that Aiden ever met Santa. We don't do the traditional Santa photo ops like a lot of families do, and I could feel the anticipation and the anxiety building in him as we were standing in line, and he actually decided not to meet Santa that day. So we got out of line and headed over to the library to see the reindeer, and actually one of the antlers had fallen off the reindeer the night before, so they were letting the kids hold it, which is what he's holding in his hands there. And then we went into the library and he did pick out a book, and it was just a lot of fun. And he actually decided not to go back this year, so he still hasn't ever met Santa Claus. Is that a mom fail on my part that my kid has never met Santa? I don't know if it is or not, but okay, let's talk about what's actually happening in the layout. As you saw earlier, I was showing you my new fine line bottle. If you watch my videos, you know that I had some major struggles with the first couple bottles that I bought, and I wasn't sure if I was ever going to buy new ones, but Amazon had a really great price on them. So I did pick up a couple new bottles. I am trying the Scotch quick dry glue in my bottles this time rather than the liquid glass, which is similar to glossy accents. I just had a lot of trouble with that liquid glass in my bottles. It just didn't work well. The tips kept getting adhered inside the bottle and I broke both of the tips, and then the tips kept getting clogged because there was no lid and it was just a mess. So we'll see how it goes. I'm interested to see if the Scotch quick dry glue works better than the liquid glass that I was using before. Okay, so getting back to the layout, here I am showing you that I added my journaling using my We Are Memory Keepers typecast typewriter. And then I also added the subtitle of Merry Memories, just using some black alpha stickers from my stash. I'm not sure of the collection those are from or the manufacturer that those are from. They were just kind of tucked away in my stash. Now I'm bringing in a few chipboard embellishments from the Simple Stories December documented collection, and that collection has to be quite a few years old. I think everything that I use on this layout has been in my stash for quite some time. That glittery snowflake was purchased at Michael's, and again, I purchased that a number of years ago. I'm also going to bring in some buttons from the My Mind's Eye Winter Wonderland collection. I'm just trying to create some visual triangles around the layout, making sure that the colors are distributed evenly around the layout so that way your eye dances back and forth and gets drawn in towards the pictures. Now I will tell you, I did try to add some stitching to this layout and I cannot stitch in a circle to save my life, and I totally messed up the layout. So I ended up cutting this cut file a second time and just adhering it right on top of the cut file that you're seeing there. So that way you'll never know the huge mistakes I made when I was trying to stitch around those O's. It was awful. It was terrible, terrible, terrible. So I need to practice that. I definitely don't have that skill mastered. I want to add a couple more pops of black on the layout, but I didn't want it to be something that was really large or distracting. So I grabbed the washi sheets from the Pink Fresh Studio Oh Joy collection, and I am just fussy cutting a few of the stars out from some of those washi strips, and I'm just going to scatter them around the layout. So I play with those for a little bit, just trying to figure out where I want to place them on the layout, and I do think I add a couple more after I turn the camera off. I'm going to bring in my roller date stamp to add the date to the layout, and that's pretty much going to wrap it up. I'm going to leave you with some still shots in just a moment, but before I do that, I want to remind you of the sale that is happening now at the Cut Shop. So it's a great time to head over and pick up the cut files that you've been wanting or any of the digital collections that you have been eyeing. So here are those still shots. Please let me know if you have any questions about the cut files. And as always, thank you so much for watching.